This is NickTheGreek,
And this is Cadoink.
and this is
TeamCraft. So, this is TeamCraft, a new series at CadoinkStudios. It is going to be all about Starcraft 2 team games, 2v2s, possibly 3v3s, and 4v4s. And we're going to cast them for you.
Yep, it's going to be a whole lot of fun. You're going to learn a lot about your team play, how to use your teammates strategically well, and how to just win.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to be casting some of our own games as well as some of your games. If you would like to see us cast a 2v2 of yours, or 3v3 or 4v4, please send those to CadoinkReplays@gmail.com. Once again, CadoinkReplays@gmail.com, and hopefully there will be a link at the bottom in the description box.
Right on.
Right on. Alright, so we're gonna go right into this game and start discussing our players. Up here in the top position we have myself, Cadoink, the purple Terran, and we have
This awesome teal Zerg, NickTheGreek.
NickTheGreek.
Pay no attention to the drone.
Yeah, you see that? He's just chilling. He's like, I don't want to go to work today. Screw that. He's just staying at home, floating around, swimming in the air, as Zerg likes to do. And in the bottom right position we have aiR, the blue Protoss, as well as a Terran player named miskuski. Miskusi? I don't know how to say your name, I'm very sorry.
miskuski. Maybe he's Russian.
He might be Russian, that is...
Or she.
Or she, could be, yeah, it could be Miss Kuski. But the red Terran, those are our opponents for today. So we see some fairly normal things coming out of each player. We see the barracks for the Terran player as well as the gateway coming up for aiR. And I'm pinging the base where I want Nick to expand. And same sort of thing in our base. I got my barracks coming up as well as my orbital and another barracks. And NickTheGreek has his spawning pool up at this time.
Yep, I'm pretty much working on a queen and working on probably expanding before I get that queen. My build order is pretty set. You just kind of a regular pool and then expand right afterwards at 14. Your pool at 13, and then from there you make a queen as quick as possible and just try to bust out units like Zerg is ought to do.
Yeah, it's really important to get units out extremely early in the 2v2 situation, and this is because if the other army does some sort of rush, they can put their armies together and target one player and do a lot of damage, because it's hard to beat an early rush as it is, but if you have two armies against your one, you're going to be in a lot of trouble. So you want to get your armies up early, and you want to get them together. And fortunately, we're on a shared position map, so we only have one choke between the two of us, so that's where our units will go, and they'll be able to protect each other a little better.
But Chris, why are we combining our armies?
Well, because two armies are better than one in almost any situation and every situation, and you want to try to get your opponents off guard. If they're moving around the map with one of their armies and then moving on the other side with their other army, your double army can destroy one of theirs and then pick off the other much more easily than it would be just doing a head-on battle. So it's very good to get those units together as soon as possible to beat off the early rush, to protect your expansions, as well as to try to defeat your opponents.
Perfect.
So now we see a lot of Marines coming out for Cadoink, as well as a factory with a tech lab on it. We're going to see some tanks coming out for Cadoink. And back in NickTheGreek's base, we do see the Baneling nest coming in. Oh, Nick, tell me about them Banelings.
Well, the reason why we want to use Banelings against this specific set is because we're pretty sure that the Protoss is going to kind of do a little techie jams, and then we're going to have the Terran probably going to bio ball. You normally don't see a Protoss and then a mech'd out Terran, and so when you've got those little Banelings rolling around doing the little rolly thing that they do, they just roll up there, explode, and if they're macroed correctly, you can do some serious damage and take a big army to a small army like that.
Yeah, that's completely correct. In fact, we do see a lot of Marines out for the red player at this time. Just that bio ball, like you were saying. It's going to be a lot of gas to go mech, and Protoss is a very mech heavy race as well. So if they want to share resources they're not going to be able to really share gas like if a Terran player goes any kind of mech build. So we do see a lot of Marines, even for me playing with a Zerg player, a lot of Marines coming out. But I do have some siege tanks on the way as well as siege mode and +1 upgrades. Well,
I'm pretty sure it's the same drone over there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's my rogue drone. Pay no mind.
he just doesn't want to work at all. He's like, you know what? I'd rather go fight with Zerglings than mine minerals all game. How boring is that? So we do see we are kind of pushing a little bit ahead at this time. I tend to do most of the micro battles for Nick. Nick is a very macro-oriented player, so he can get quite a bit of banelings out as well as those Zerglings and his little rogue drone to fight for us.
Why would you have one person do macro while the other person does micro?
Because then if you have two people microing, then you kind of get in each other's way, because one player will be pulling units this way and the other player might pull the units the other way, and you might get kind of confused. And it's kind of more efficient to have one person just do that. And on the other hand, if you're just focusing on macro, then you can macro a lot harder than you would be if you were microing. So while I'm doing a lot of micro-oriented play, I'm still able to macro, and Nick can macro just 100% full time, and this allows us to get quite a bit of units out, especially as a Zerg player. But we do see some Dark Templars in our base at this time, and this is going to be rather obnoxious. Luckily I have a Zerg friend here who will make me an Overseer, but I am going to put down some turrets as well as save up energy for some scans.
I really hate it when they throw out some of those cloaked units, but thankfully Zerg is really good at defending against those. You always want to make sure that you have some extra gas lying around in case that kind of thing happens. If you think that any kind of cloaking is going to happen, and if you're playing a Terran Protoss combination, there's going to be cloaking.
Yeah, we do see a big battle at this time, so Bailey's going in and destroying all the Marines, and my Marines are on his ramp, destroying his barracks as well as that pylon. We're going to be able to take down this depot as well. We see that this gateway is out of power because that pylon was destroyed, and these banelings are sitting back because there are no more units really on the field, but they are going to move and try to destroy these zealots, and they might even be able to get to someone's mineral line if the zealots are destroyed by the Zerglings before the banelings. The Marines are of course doing a lot of damage to the rest of the barracks as well as this pylon, powering down the rest of the gateways as well as the cybernetics core. So the Zerg player will not be able to warp in any more units on the field, especially Stalkers, seeing as that cybernetics core is down. And now I'm able to pick off some of these supply depots and maybe even this starport. But we do see a Dark Templar on the way to do some really scary damage because we don't have any kind of detection. I don't know if I do a scan here or not, but he is going to be able to pick off a lot of Marines.
Now, the Protoss is doing a pretty good job of doing what we call stay alive. If you get rushed by the army first, or you get hit by the army, they're the first of the two to get hit, because generally they don't hit both of you at the same time, because they'd combine their armies because they're a smart player. You're going to want to do is you're going to want to stay alive for as long as you possibly can, allowing the other player to macro and micro up and get as good as they can, get as many units as they can to do a counter push after they defeat and get the army out of their friend's base. Or if they think their friend is all for naught, just abandon them and go straight on, and hopefully you'll hit the other team defenseless.
That's true. You want to catch the other team off guard, especially if you're in such a handicap position at that time where you don't really have the means to protect yourself. And that's kind of what this Dark Templar play is. It wouldn't normally win a game, but it might be able to bring them back. However, in this situation, because they're in shared bases, NickTheGreek and Cadoink were able to take them out kind of at once in kind of one blow. Whereas in a map where the two players are spawned in different positions, that stay alive strategy would work a lot better than on a map like this. And we do see that he did run his main up to this base to kind of do some hiding, and this is exactly that staying alive tactic that you were referring to before.
Yep, and so now, while that big battle is going on, while you're doing a major push, the micro player is really worried about the micro, but the macro player, if you're doing a macro player, should be focusing on making more units. Because while that fighting is happening, you're going to have a whole mess of food free up, and you're going to be able to make a whole mess of units, and really be able to flood the battlefield as well as doing some teching, because you might have some spare minerals, spare gas lying around, and teching is a wonderful thing, especially, you don't see a whole lot of Zerg tech as much as I think you should, but especially in Zerg you want to do some teching. Protoss and Terran are pretty consistent techers anyway, so just do some extra teching right there, and it'll be good for you.
Yeah, you need these kind of things to win back an advantage, because if you get attacked really early, then you will kind of be behind. And we do see that aiR has put down a lot of gateways, just like you said, so he can be cranking out these units, as well as taking back, or taking for the first time this expansion. I would, however, like to see the red Terran player re-expand here, seeing as there isn't really a threat, and this base is very vulnerable to attacks this time, and we are able to scout it, because NickTheGreek has very good overlord placement, placing these overlords here, at the different expansions to make sure that they don't do any kind of like cheeky hidden expansions like this one right here that we do spot and we will kill.
Ooh, look at all that! Look at all that creep down there. It's pretty smexy creep. So spreading your creep is really important for any Zerg player. If you don't spread your creep, you're not doing everything that you need to do. You're only, let's say, like me, for instance, I'm only macroing right now, so spreading creep is something I can definitely do without too much worry.
Yeah, and creep is going to give you that vision as well, as the speed. And so it's something that's very good, and we can see that a lot of the creep was destroyed when this expansion was destroyed by the Dark Templar, but Nick is very good about making sure it's going to keep going, so we can get this little extra bit of vision as well as speed for Zerglings and Banelings, and even Roaches that are a slower unit than the Zergling.
Now normally I'd be pumping out a lot more units, but as you can see, NickTheGreek has lost his expand due to a nice sneak attack play when NickTheGreek and Cadoink were attacking the base earlier.
Yeah, we do see a big attack going right now for aiR against Cadoink and NickTheGreek. A lot of Zealots and a lot of Dark Templar. They're going to be able to pick off all those Marines, but there is another force of units here at the ramp, and we have a lot of siege tanks that are going to do a lot of damage to this force if they get in range, as well as some more Marines, another tank, and some more Zerglings, and here they come doing some damage, and luckily NickTheGreek has this overseer here, so we're going to be able to see all of these Dark Templar, and these tanks are just doing a lot of damage, destroying mostly all of the Zealots as well as many of the Dark Templar.
Yeah, that retreat action was probably, you had to do it, but it was just, you can see when someone retreats against a siege tank, if the siege tank doesn't unsiege to pursue them, they can still get a lot of nice, good hits on them and do some serious damage. So it's not always the best idea to unsiege and pursue, especially if you know you're slower than the other units.
Yeah, that splash damage is just absolutely ridiculous. And we do see another base going down for miskuski. I don't know why I tried to say her name, but I did. And I don't know if it's her, but we do see another base, and we don't see very many tech structures for her. We do see 2 starports, as well as factory and barracks, but this is not much compared to Cadouink's 5 barracks as well as 2 factories, and he is on 2 bases, and NickTheGreek is taking the expansion once again.
Yeah, once you've gotten hurt and you've lost that expand and you try to macro up again, you can find it hard to remember to go back and make another expand because you're really strapped for cash and you're trying to make sure you can have as many units put out as possible. But you do really want to take that expand if you get any free moments, any free minerals, because you want to be able to be aggressive later on in the game. Though it is good to play in the moment and survive for the time being, you really do want to plan.
Yeah, planning is so important in Starcraft 2, especially in team games. You just got to make sure you have a plan. You always have to have an end goal, or else you're not going to be able to improve in any sort of way.
Yeah, like right when we see the screen, when we see the other player, we start discussing what are we going to make, what's the plan going to be right now. Not that it's not changeable, but we say, oh look, there's a Protoss and another Protoss. I probably shouldn't make too many Banelings. There's not going to be a whole lot of balled units. I know I'm going to need detection.
Yeah, and we say things like, we need more Roaches against Protoss, and oh, we're playing Zerg, so we need more Zerglings and Mutas unless he goes Roaches, and then we need Roaches, you know. And we kind of make these plans ahead of time, and it's good. It's good, like we've been saying, to have a game plan, and it's something we've always done, and it's something we always will do, and it's the best thing to do in any kind of game. We do see quite a bit of units out for NickTheGreek as well as Cadoink. They really should start moving out and taking map control, especially protecting this creep line, as well as this expansion, which is not very well protected right now. They could just run up this ramp and destroy Cadouink's base if they wanted to, however they don't have that many units. But we are going to be moving down and possibly attacking this expansion, seeing how vulnerable it is at this time. There isn't much in the way of protection for it.
Now you can see that creep is spread all the way from NickTheGreek's expand to the almost next to the Reds' base. That'll be great for moving any units, getting them down there quickly, or any quick retreats or reallocation of units in case they fly around with flying units or hop around with hopping units and get back over to their base. But now we have some serious action.
Yeah, we do see an attack on this expansion over here for the red player. He does have some Banshees, but they were taken down quite quickly, as well as the factory and barracks were just destroyed really quickly. You really should run one of these Banelings up, but we do see the Zealots and the Dark Templar and the Immortal coming from the back, but it's not going to be enough. And we have the 3 Banshees here. All 3 get taken out really quickly, as well as this Immortal. And Cadoink and NickTheGreek are going to be able to run right into this base and destroy this orbital command, as well as these supply depots and maybe even this command center if they spot it. Which they do with this Overlord, so they're going to run down there. And this is very nice liftoff by the Terran player, but at this point they're kind of just grabbing at straws, as they don't have that much in the way of protecting themselves. The Protoss player only having really 1 base that's being heavily mined out of, and only a few Zealots and Void Rays on the field, while they do see quite a bit of Marines on their opponent's team.
Now when Protoss started taking up a lot more of the unit mix of the two teams that NickTheGreek and Cadoink were playing against, NickTheGreek made a lot more roaches to go against the Protoss threat.
Yeah, roaches are very good against stalkers, and they do, so that is a good unit to have. And the Banelings will do really good against the Zealots as well as the Dark Templar. We do see that the red player tried to take the expansion there at the gold base, but we kind of caught him off guard there, and now we are attacking the Protoss base that isn't saturated, so it's not going to be too much of a loss for him. However, he does have these Void Rays, and it is quite a bit of Void Rays, but I don't know if they'll be able to do enough damage against this many Marines. It's just quite a huge amount of Marines, as well as plenty of tanks and roaches. So these Void Rays are going to come in and be able to pick off that Overseer, but it's not going to be enough seeing as there are that many Marines. And here comes the Dark Templar, and I do a scan to see them because our Overseer is dead. They go down real quick as well as the rest of the units, and there's only 1 Void Ray left on the field, and it's going to get picked off by the Marines, and there's the GG by aiR. Good game, says Cadoink. And aiR leaves the game. His opponent is still in the game at this time. However, it's over for him as well.
Yep, a good end to a good game. If you watch the whole time, there's still being units made, even when all this macroing or microing is going on by Cadoink, NickTheGreek, and Cadoink are still macroing and making a whole nother mess of units. That way, in case anything went wrong, in case there was a hidden base you weren't ready for, you always have plenty more units to take their place. Because what happens is, if you have a big old army and you go up and you attack, your whole army gets taken out. You realize, the other team realizes, oh, they're weak, and they'll come in and rush your base real quick. And they might not rush them with quite as many units as they would have normally, and if you have a nice little defensive force, you can at least slow, if not completely stop the onslaught.
Great words, Nick. Great words.
Yep, so this game's pretty much over. I don't know why the red still thinks he's gonna survive, but he's just chilling out, just like that little drone.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he's raging. He's kind of running his starport away. I don't really see the point of this. Maybe get some Banshees, but it's obviously not enough. As I've taken this gold expansion right here, and Nick has taken this base there. We do see that not much is being mined out of Nick's main at this current time, and he is getting a Spire to fly around and destroy all those obnoxious floating bases. GG, Nick says you should try it sometime. I told you to say that, didn't I?
Yeah, I said I was gonna say it, and then you said, no, don't don't say it. Sometimes when in the heat of battle, you can be a little snarky.
Yeah.
Pro tip.
Pro tip. GG when it's time to leave. So anyway, this is Cadoink.
And this is NickTheGreek, and this has been
TeamCraft. And I hope you enjoyed it. If you did like the video, comment below please and tell us what we can do better. And there are going to be a lot more on the way, so enjoy, send us replays, comment, all that, and we will see you guys later.
Bye-bye.